Stephen A. Smith Show starts right now.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do every weekday over the airways of ESPN Radio and ESPN News, ESPN Radio on Sirius XM Channel 80 as well, along with ESPN Radio simulcast over the live national television airwaves of ESPN News. Number to call up as always is 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. The Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Cars, homes, boats, motorcycles, RVs, and more at Progressive.com. Time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. It's not a good day today. We can slice it any way we want to, ladies and gentlemen. It's just not a good day today. Pick apart last night's NFL draft any way you choose. When it comes to the New York Giants, that's arguably the story of the draft. You can look at the Oakland Raiders and what John Gruden and Mike Mayock decided to do with their 3 first-round picks. There's no debate that the New York Jets had a safe pick and did a credible job in drafting Quentin Williams with the number 3 overall pick. You can look at Jonathan Allen being bypassed. You can look at Ed Oliver being bypassed. You can look at all of these things. But you can give major props. And if you're in Pittsburgh, you're celebrating big time when you've got this kid out of Michigan. This kid Devin Bush is something special. You can do all of those things. They moved up 10 spots in the draft, got the 10th overall pick to make sure they got their hands on this kid. You can look at all of that. You really can. And in looking at all of that, you can come to the conclusion, okay, that Pittsburgh, in the aftermath of Ryan Shazier, suffering miserably because you didn't have a linebacker that could go drop back in coverage, that could run sideline to sideline, that can make things happen. You can sit up there and say, they've now addressed that issue. Major props to them, all good. But the story is the New York Giants. And I don't even know where to begin. I don't know where to begin. Dave Gettleman has been in the NFL for many years. He was the man, the architect behind the Carolina Panthers going to a 15-1 record, getting to the Super Bowl before getting bum rushed by Von Miller and the Denver Broncos. When he was hired to be the GM of the New York Giants, we looked at his resume and we said, hey, the man is associated with football. He does know football. He has a relationship with the Maras and Mr. Tisch. He's been around for quite some time. He's a credible NFL executive. We understand. My personal opinion is that somebody like Louis Riddick, our very own Louis Riddick right here at ESPN, should have been the pick rather than an old school dude like Gettleman, who doesn't mind leaning on old friends like Pat Shermer, who had a 10-23 head coach record before he ever got introduced as a head coach for the New York Giants. But that was me. Nevertheless, we understand that the Giants went in a different direction. You give Dave Gettleman this job. Dave Gettleman, knowing Eli Manning is fading, he's getting older, they missed the playoffs several years. I mean, right now it's at 6 in the last 7 years, but I'm talking about prior to this last season. Despite the regression that you saw from Eli Manning, you said, hey, Dave Gettleman, we can trust him a little bit. We can give him an opportunity to show us the way. We can give Dave Gettleman an opportunity to show us that he knows what the hell he's doing. And because he's been around long enough, and he's stoic enough, and he's disciplined enough, and he's competent enough, personal feelings and affection are not going to get in the way, and he's going to do what's right for the New York Giants franchise. Even when he drafted Saquon Barkley, instead of drafting the quarterback and Sam Darnold, we weren't sweating it because Saquon Barkley's the real deal. He's an electrifying talent. The Giants were still going to stink As a result, you're going to have an opportunity to get a quarterback in next year's draft as opposed to last year's draft. We sat up here and we came with all of these excuses, all of this rationale. And then last night arrived. Nashville, Tennessee. And we've got to ask ourselves this question as we sit up here today. Couple of questions we should ask. Is Dave Gettleman old and beyond his prime? Should he be immediately drug tested? Or has Dave Gettleman gotten so soft on us that he does not deserve to be an executive in the National Football League because his feelings have camouflaged or stained his judgment? What else do you want me to say when you draft some dude named Daniel Jones out of Duke? Ladies and gentlemen, Daniel Jones threw for over 400 yards in the last game we saw him. It was against Temple. Had a decent game against Pittsburgh. Had a decent game against North Carolina. I believe somebody showed me a stat where he once threw 9 interceptions. I'm looking at my producer, John. Correct me if he once threw 9 interceptions in one game against Virginia. I think something along those lines. I mean, you're talking about an individual that threw 52 touchdowns in his career that was picked over a dude in Dwayne Haskins that threw 50 touchdowns in one damn season. One season. Daniel Jones. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. You cannot make it up. And I got to tell you something right now. To sit up there and to see, I got a lot of questions about the New York Giants. Let me just throw some stats at y'all. Because when I'm looking at Daniel Jones, some highlights, somebody sent this to me, some highlights from Daniel Jones' college career. Lost 58-7 to Wake Forest in his final regular season game. Threw 2 touchdowns and 9 interceptions versus Virginia. Threw 1 interception and 0 touchdowns with a QB rating of 19 during a loss to a Baylor squad, and was the 81st ranked quarterback in the country in yards per attempt. I guess they're talking about career numbers. Now I got to tell you something. What possible excuse can you have for passing up on Dwayne Haskins? New Jersey native, even though he ultimately grew up in Maryland a few years later. Went to Ohio State, threw for 50 touchdowns, just 8 interceptions. Played in the Big Ten. Was a top 3 candidate for the Heisman Trophy Award. Just look at the comparisons. Look at the comparisons. Why? Because Daniel Jones had more games. That's more evidence to show you he doesn't deserve to be picked 6th overall. I mean, you can't make this up. This dude, Daniel Jones. Why? Because his coach was Mr. Cutcliffe, who works the Mannings out, Eli and Peyton. Or some people say he looks like Eli. Well, what do you mean he looks like Eli? What does that mean exactly? Oh, he's just as tall. He's just as sleek. The hairdo looks a little bit similar. That's what they were telling me. And by the way, at this particular moment in time, who the hell wants to look like Eli Manning? No disrespect. I like Eli. Eli's a consummate professional. Let me tell y'all something right now. You got a radio interview to do, you want Eli Manning as your quarterback. He's going to show up on time. He don't need no PR. He don't need no publicist. He don't need no agent. He don't need anybody to call. Eli Manning will call you himself. He'll call ahead of time. He got a 4 o'clock interview. He's calling you at 3:58. It's touching. Did I say it's touching? It's very, very touching. Consummate professional. Class personified. A gentleman extraordinaire. Archie and his lovely wife, him and Peyton and Cooper. Let's not forget Cooper. They're lovely parents. They're phenomenal. I mean, when you talk about sitting at somebody's dinner table and being treated like a wonderful human being, and being associated and connected with somebody that is class personified, you want to have dinner with the Mannings because they're great. And it doesn't hurt that two of their sons have brought home 4 Super Bowls. But Eli Manning has missed the playoffs 6 times in the last 7 years. Eli Manning has been a shell of himself. That same Eli Manning has gone down at the sight of a rush. He hasn't even been hit when he's gone down sometimes. He is clearly not the quarterback that he used to be. And when you look at all of that, and you turn around and you pick somebody that's supposedly his clone, that doesn't have the credentials that a Dwayne Haskins has. And when you have Gettleman talking about he talked to Eli, and when you hear that Eli is 38, approaching the last year of his contract, and wants to play beyond this upcoming season, which is going to be his last. It's almost as if Gettleman made this decision so he doesn't have to get rid of Eli. That Eli gets to leave when he wants to, and in line in the background is Daniel Jones waiting. It's a catastrophically bad situation that Gettleman himself just exacerbated beyond comprehension. And as a result, we sit here right now, and I'm here to tell you something. This is not good. This is not good. This is some embarrassing stuff that just happened with the New York Giants. Daniel Jones out of Duke. Daniel Jones. It's embarrassing. That's just one thing now. 888 say ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. We could get into a lot of this stuff as the show progresses today, but I have no doubt I'm certainly going to hand off. I can't wait to have my man Chris Canty on the show. 30 minutes past the hour. And I can't wait to get to your calls as Giants fans, as NFL fans, with what has transpired here. Now, some things were predictable. Nick Bosa going number 2 to San Francisco out of Ohio State. We knew that was coming. Quinnen Williams out of Alabama, defensive tackle extraordinaire. Even though some people may have some questions about him, there's nothing in his career that say they're legitimate questions. I think the Jets made a safe pick there with Leonard Williams and the rest of the crew. Jamal Adams and C.J. Mosley and those boys, I got news for you. I got a lot of faith in the New York Jets defense for this upcoming season. This kid, Devin White, out of LSU, is considered the real deal. I met him. He came on the television show First Take, my television show on ESPN, every weekday from 10 a.m. to noon Eastern Standard Time with Max Kellerman and Molly Karam. This brother, Devin White, is the real deal. Plus, he's a leader. He's a game changer. I had Derek Brooks tell me, the former Tampa Bay Buccaneer, that's a Hall of Famer, I had him tell me that this kid, Devin White, this man will be the face of this Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense for years to come. Ain't nobody questioning that pick. Josh Allen. Some thought that the Giants would grab him. I'm not going to go a quarterback. I'm going to go the route of Josh Allen, who was raved about and was considered a stud, who was an edge rusher and a man amongst boys. The guy out of Kentucky, 17 sacks, 5 forced fumbles, all of this stuff last year. That was the man the Giants were supposed to take if they weren't going to take a quarterback. And we said if they didn't take a quarterback because we were anticipating if they didn't take Dwayne Haskins at number 6, they weren't going to take a quarterback at all. And then they went and did this. T.J. Hockenson, tight end out of Iowa. Detroit grabbed him. No surprise there. Ed Oliver at 9 at Buffalo. Some people thought he should have got taken higher than Josh Allen, but that's neither here nor there. He's a defensive tackle. Josh Allen is an edge rusher. We understand it. Ed Oliver can ball. He's coming out of Houston. Let's see what he does in Buffalo. That's what they needed. Safe pick. But then the pick of the draft, as far as I'm concerned, or at least it could be argued that it was the pick of the draft, was the Pittsburgh Steelers working out a deal with the Denver Broncos, moving up from 20th to 10th to grab this kid, Devin Bush, out of Michigan. Lord have mercy. Somebody to cover tight ends. Somebody to run sideline to sideline. Somebody who's a hit man. Somebody who's physical. Ladies and gentlemen, this dude is Ryan Shazier plus 20 pounds. with the same amount of speed, if not a little bit more. I love it. It's beautiful. That's what I'm talking about here. Steelers stand up. Steelers stand up. You're going to lose Antonio Brown. You're going to lose Le'Veon Bell. You're going to sign Big Ben Roethlisberger to a 2-year, $68 million extension to add on a year, the last year that he had in his contract. So he's going to be with us for the next 3 years. Juju Smith-Schuster's the number one option. Vance McDonald's still there as a tight end. No, you don't have Antonio Brown. But a legitimate argument could be it's possible that you might end up having a better team. Particularly if your defense is better, and you're defending better, and you're defending against the pass better, and you're defending against the rush better, and you're getting at the quarterback. Because guess what? Devin Bush can do that too. I love it. Because ladies and gentlemen, when I grew up loving the Steelers, as much as I loved Bradshaw, and the ballet dancer turned wide receiver known as Lynn Swann, and John Stahl were trying to prove himself and prove that he belonged and he should be considered on the same level as Lynn Swann and Franco Harris and Rocky Blyer and those boys. Let me tell you something right now. You fall in love with the Steelers because of the steel curtain. It's Mean Joe Green. It's L.C. Greenwood. It's Jack Lambert. It's Jack Ham. It's Mel Blount. I'm talking about those brothers. That was a long, long time ago for some of you younger whippersnappers out there. Might not know what I'm talking about, and that's fine. But I'm telling you right now, when the Steelers were the Steelers, it was because they had a menacing defense that everybody had to pay attention to. And I love the fact that they did this. It meant the world to me that they did this. Especially when you see that the Baltimore Ravens went Hollywood, got Marquise Hollywood Brown, wide receiver and speedster out of Oklahoma. They're saying he's the second coming of Deshaun Jackson, who went from Tampa last year and went to Philadelphia. So I love the fact that the Steelers went the defensive route because Baltimore ain't playing. Baltimore is not playing. So I look at it from that perspective. But one of the other big stories in the draft was the Oakland Raiders. John Gruden, Mike Mayock. And I just want to state for the record again, I watched Mike Mayock last night being interviewed by my buddy Rich Eisen, courtesy of his wonderful, lovely wife, who I've known for many, many years. And the great Rich Eisen, who did so much for this network here at ESPN before he went over to the NFL Network years ago. He and somebody else were interviewing Mike Mayock last night after the Raiders picked in the first round. Now, I have nothing, and I hope Mike Mayock is listening. I have nothing against Mike Mayock. I think that when Mike Mayock was on TV, being an NFL analyst for the NFL Network, he did an exceptional, exceptional job. My critique of him being the general manager for the Oakland Raiders was nothing against him personally. It just reminded me of privilege. Because if that's the case, I got news for the bosses at ESPN. Can I apply for a job as president of basketball operations for the Knicks or the Lakers or somebody? I mean, evidently, I didn't know folks in the media could become NFL executives, which is what Mayock did. Or NBA executives. I mean, what the hell with that? What about me? I still would turn down the job because I'm actually doing quite well here, and I don't know if y'all could take care of me the way ESPN takes care of me. But that's a different subject for another day. The point that I'm trying to make to you is, I got a problem with an executive with no executive experience, a person with no executive experience becoming an executive, leapfrogging over a bunch of people to be a GM in the National Football League. That's it. It has nothing to do with Mayock. I would say the same thing about anybody else. But that's neither here nor there. I'm here to tell you right now, I'm in the minority. I actually think John Gruden and Mike Mayock did a good job yesterday. And if I saw Mike Mayock, I'd shake his hand and I'd congratulate him. Not just for the draft, but for getting the position. Because it ain't his fault that he's in a privileged position of being snatched off of television and being given the executive job. I can't knock him for that. I have nothing against Mr. Mayock for that. That's not his fault. I just want a fair and equitable process for everybody. But having said all of that, let's give the Raiders some props where it's due. Cleveland Ferrell is somebody that Dabo Swinney has raved about. I've spoken to Dabo Swinney personally about this man. He raved about his ability, his motor, his leadership, his commitment to team, his work ethic. Every single box that you need to check, Dabo Swinney checked for me on this man this morning. Yes, he did. That Dabo Swinney. You know the Dabo Swinney that's won 2 of the last 3 national championships? You know the Dabo Swinney, the head coach for the Clemson Tigers, who just agreed to a 10-year, $93 million extension, $9.3 million a year, same amount of money as Nick Saban is getting paid. And I'm here to tell you, he deserves every damn penny. If Nick Saban is getting paid $9.3 million, Dabo Swinney deserves to get paid $9.3 million per year. Period. Clemson is an elite program. Dabo Swinney himself, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not just talking about Dabo Swinney, the coach. Dabo Swinney, the personality, is box office. Tell me when college football is taking place. Tell me you don't want to listen to Dabo Swinney talk. Now, we want Nick Saban to talk because we're wondering who the hell he's going to go off on. But we want to hear Dabo Swinney talk because of some of the things he's going to say. BYOG, bring your own guts, baby. Bring your own guts. That's what he said. This is Dabo Swinney we talking about here. Arguably the elite coach in the last 4 years, Dabo Swinney has won as many national titles as Alabama. Alabama beat him, he beat them. Why shouldn't he get paid as much as Nick Saban? Why? And when we're thinking about the come up, when we're thinking about 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 7 years from now, 10 years from now even, if we look at Nick Saban, as creme de la creme as he is, because Nick Saban is the man and a half, I got news for you. Dabo Swinney ain't. Right now, Dabo Swinney cannot be perceived as being lower than Nick Saban because he has done it and has done it repeatedly. There is nothing to question about Dabo Swinney. Oh, by the way, he's been in many college football playoffs since its inception. 4 years, 4 times he's been there, just like Alabama. And he's won 2 national titles, just like Alabama. And he beat Alabama, just like Alabama beat him. That same Dabo Swinney, and congratulations, my man, because he deserves it, had this to say about Clelin Ferrell, one of the most committed players and best leaders ever coached. I've ever coached. Character, smarts, humble, strong, tough, size, and athleticism. Relentless pursuit to be great. Awesome teammate. Dependable. Loves the grind. He's a flat-out winner. The Raiders got it right. He is a no-doubter. Will be incredibly productive for them. That is a quote right here from Dabo Swinney. Good enough for me? I don't know about the rest of y'all. It's good enough for me. Dabo Swinney said, I'm going to listen. Now, he ain't exactly E.F. Hutton. Remember when Howard Cosell used to do E.F. Hutton in the 70s when he was doing Monday Night Football? Not E.F. Hutton, actually. Merrill Lynch, but I say E.F. Hutton. Howard Cosell used to do E.F. Hutton. Merrill Lynch. Halftime highlights brought to you by Merrill Lynch. A breed apart. That's why I always remember that. Always remember that. Nevertheless, that is what they are. And the Raiders drafted him. As questionable as it may be, if he's what Dabo Swinney says he is, I love it. Also, Josh Jacobs, running back, they needed that. I like it. I think Mayock and Gruden did a great job. Here's their only problem. Everything they do will be measured against them letting go of Khalil Mack. And in that case, that's Gruden because Mayock wasn't there yet. But that's it. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. We'll be continue talking more about this draft and the Giants in particular, particularly with my man Chris Canty, one of the voices of 98.7 FM in New York City coming up. Stick around. Don't touch that dial. It's the Stephen A. Smith Show. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. That was Straight Talk Wireless. Nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. By the way, for all of your biggest achievements in life, Mom has always unconditionally supported you every step of the way. So this Mother's Day, show her just how much you appreciate the love with 1-800-Flowers.com. Right now, when you get ahead of the Mother's Day rush, 1-800-Flowers will give you an exclusive 36 for 36 offer. That's 36 sorbet roses for just $36. That's only $1 per rose. Don't put this stuff off. Order it today. To order 36 sorbet roses for $36, go to 1-800-Flowers.com, click the radio icon, and enter code Stephen A. That's 1-800-Flowers.com, code Stephen A. That's with a PH, not a V. Hurry up! This fantastic offer ends today. With Vivid Seats app, it's easy to find awesome seats to any game, and all purchases are backed by their 100% guarantee. Go to the App Store or Google Play and download the app and enter promo code CHAMPS at checkout to get 10% off your first order.
I can do more to lower my A1C.
Because my body can still make its own insulin.
And
when you've got Kevin Durant, who dropped 45 last night, when you got shooters like Klay Thompson and Steph Curry, you're going to be all right offensively. I don't give a damn what the situation is. Defensively, however, if you're going to periodically struggle the way the Golden State Warriors struggled last night, ladies and gentlemen, the Houston Rockets might be going to the finals. I'm still not ready to bet my money on that. I don't believe it. I'm certainly not ready to make that a foregone conclusion. But I will tell you, the Golden State Warriors' defensive performance last night has given me cause to pause, and as a result, I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that they're going to the finals. Houston's probably salivating at the mouth to get their hands on them, and all of a sudden, everybody's in play. Because you look at the way Denver's played against San Antonio the last 3 games. When you look at the way Portland looked in the series against Oklahoma City, you got either of those teams that could give Houston a run for its money. So now if the Golden State Warriors are in jeopardy and somehow, some way, Houston's able to knock them off, we might not know who the hell's going to the NBA Finals coming out of the West, which means we might not know who the champion's going to be, which means before we know, for all we know, Toronto or Milwaukee could end up being the NBA champions if we're not careful. Now, I want to be very, very clear about who I'm rooting for or who I'm rooting against. I am rooting against the Toronto Raptors. Beautiful city. Fantastic city. Phenomenal. Here's the problem, ladies and gentlemen. My self-interest matters. I don't have global entry. I've been trying to get global entry for months, and I can't get global entry. For some odd reason, their computers ain't up and people ain't being eligible for global entry. I have been trying to get global entry for 4 months. 4.5 months to be exact and counting, and I still don't have global entry, which means that those lines are going to be exorbitantly long, and I want no parts of that while I'm traveling for the NBA Finals. That's right, I'm putting my personal interest first. I don't feel like standing in line for customs, all of that stuff. I don't feel like dealing with that. I ain't got to do that if I fly to Milwaukee. I ain't got to do that if I go to Philadelphia. I don't have to do that if I go to Boston. But I will have to do that if I go to Toronto. So nobody's rooting against Toronto more than me. But that is the reason why I don't have global entry.
The Stephen A. Smith
other than Eli Manning. They talked about how Coach Cutcliffe, who works out Eli and Peyton Manning, and obviously this was his quarterback at Duke, so the kid clearly has a relationship with Eli Manning, and that seemed to be as prevalent as anything else. But the fact that the Giants passed up on Sam Darnold last year to draft Saquon Barkley, clearly I don't think anybody would say this kid was better than Sam Darnold. So if you were going to do this, why wouldn't you just grab Sam Darnold last year? In the end, what kind of situation does this put Gettleman in and Coach Shermer?
Well, it's going to be a lot of pressure on both of those guys. We'll find out whether or not they were right, because you're talking about Sam Darnold, who is the quarterback for your crosstown rival, and then, of course, Dwayne Haskins, the quarterback that you passed on this year, being a quarterback for your division rival with the Washington Redskins. So I think we'll see whether or not Dave Gettleman and Pat Shermer make the right decision sooner rather than later. But, there's a tremendous amount of pressure on them to be right about this decision.
Chris Canty, now that we look at this Giant squad, what are we to make of Eli Manning? Because once upon a time, we thought this could be the end. Then we said, okay, he's not going to retire. Now he's approaching the last year of this deal. Based on this pick, it's entirely plausible in my mind that we could see the New York Giants with Eli Manning as their quarterback for the next 2 to 3 seasons. As unfathomable as that may seem, that clearly appears to be his intent, and it almost appears to be theirs, because they're so reluctant to let him go. Even after they traded Odell Beckham Jr., all they've been doing is raving about Eli.
No, they have, and it feels like they're trying to do everything that they can to support who they believe is their starting quarterback going into 2019. I look at this whole situation and I wonder, Stephen A., is it doing the right thing by the organization in running the decision to draft Daniel Jones by Eli Manning last night? Because according to reports, Dave Gettleman and Pat Shermer both spoke to Eli Manning after they turned in the card for Daniel Jones. I don't understand why Eli Manning needs to be involved if this is what you believe is in the best interest of the franchise moving forward. That doesn't make any sense to me. And then Dave Gettleman comes out and says, you know what? I don't mind the Green Bay Packers model. Before, I talked about the Kansas City Chiefs model, which is having a veteran quarterback and then drafting a young guy and letting him sit for a year and learn. Now he pivots and decides, you know what? Maybe this is a situation where the young quarterback sits for several years before we insert him as the starting quarterback. I just don't think that makes any sense, and especially when you consider today's economics in the NFL and what franchise quarterbacks are getting paid on second contracts. I think teams try to do everything that they can to capitalize on having a starting quarterback on a rookie wage scale, because you can free up so many cap dollars to address other areas of the team. It seems like the Giants are going to lose that benefit if Daniel Jones has to sit for several seasons behind an aging Eli Manning.
Doesn't this make Odell Beckham Jr. look pretty good when you consider the fact that he was let go, that Gettleman alluded to the culture being better? If you had a problem with Odell Beckham Jr., he says any organization that's okay with losing should consider me a cancer. I'm paraphrasing because I don't know if I'm quoting him directly accurate, but that basically was what I peeled away from his statements just from a week ago when Gettleman appeared to have taken a shot by him. If you're Odell Beckham Jr., don't you look even better today because you see the level of commitment the Giants had to Eli Manning as opposed to doing what's best for the franchise?
No, he does look a little better today. And Stephen A., you were close enough in echoing the sentiments of Odell's commentary during the course of this last season. You got to remember that Odell plays a position that's dependent on the quarterback being able to get him the ball. Remember, back in 2017, the reason why Odell Beckham Jr. missed the majority of that season is because Eli Manning had an inaccurate pass to him, and that put him in a compromised situation. He ends up breaking his ankle. So, I mean, when you look at where Eli Manning is at this stage in his career, it's clear that he can't get the most out of the talent that's around him. He doesn't make everybody around him better. But the Giants are insistent on continuing to march him out there as the starting quarterback. It has to affect the guys in that locker room when they look around and they see a quarterback that they don't believe gives them a chance to win a lot of games. Now, with that being said, everybody that's had something negative to say about Eli Manning in the
Xanh lai
past
lót
several
xanh
years
hương hoa hồng và
has been
lily
removed
ơi.
from the
Với
organization.
chất
Odell
từ
Beckham
thiên
Jr.,
nhiên,
he
sàn
had some
nhà
negative
xanh.
words about Eli Manning. He's gone.
Xin
They're
chào
not
tất cả
doing
các bạn đã
Jerry.
đến với lại
They were the
kênh
ones to
YouTube
make the
của Học
decision
viện
to
BOTV
pick Eli
và
at
của
the end of the
channel Lý Phương
2017
Ngọc.
season.
Và ngày hôm nay
They're
Ngọc làm
gone
video
now.
clip này
Seems like
để
everybody
nhằm
in
mục
that
đích
organization that
là
tries to
hiện
take a
nay
stand and
BOTV
would
đang phát triển
suggest
rất là mạnh
that
mẽ.
somebody else other than
Hiện nay
Eli
là
Manning should be a starting
trên toàn
quarterback,
quốc có hơn
the Giants have moved
160.000
on
cộng
from.
đồng
Which to me
đang hoạt
speaks to
động.
Mara and Tish
Con số
more than
hiện
it
nay
speaks
đã
to
hơn
anybody else.
180.000
Before I
cộng
let you get
đồng
on
đã
out of
tạo
here,
với lại
let me
BOTV.
transition to the Jets
Cho
for a
nên
quick
có
second.
rất là nhiều
What
cộng
did you
đồng
think of
là
them
người mới
selecting
họ
number
vào
3 overall
họ
pick,
còn
Quentin
đội
Williams, real
và cộng
quickly?
đồng đó.
What did you think about that selection?
I love the decision for Quentin Williams. I think he's arguably the best defensive player in this draft. They're going to be an odd front defense. They're going to run that 34. Quentin Williams can play all three positions for the down lineman. He presents a tremendous amount of versatility for Greg Williams in that defense. And the great thing about it, Stephen A., you can leave him on the field all three downs. Not only is he going to be stout against the run, but he's going to give you a lot of pressure up the middle in the pass rush. So I really love the pick.
Man, you keep doing the great work that you've been doing. Appreciate you, my brother. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. Keep doing your thing.
Thanks for having me on, Stephen A.
All right, no problem. Chris Canty, NFL analyst extraordinaire for ESPN radio show, ESPN Radio, 10 a.m. to noon. All right, every weekday. We're coming up right before my show, to be quite honest with you. He does an outstanding job on television as well. The brother is special. Can't wait to have him on again. 888, say ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Your phone calls up next. I know a lot of Giant fans going to call up here. I know a lot of Raiders fans going to call as well. There's a lot to discuss about this NFL draft, plus some basketball, some other stuff to get into, and some other NFL, some unpleasant NFL news to get into as well. So stick around. It's Stephen A., ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Need seats to a game? Download the Vivid Seats app and enter promo code CHAMP to check out to get 10% off your first order. Don't buy just any seat. Get a Vivid. Got fired from the job there. Got hired as offensive coordinator at USC, and before he had a chance to go to Roscoe's for chicken and waffles, the dude got hired as an NFL head coach. He did not deserve the job. I'm about process. This ain't about race. I don't give a damn what color or ethnicity the coach is. Black, white, or anything in between. That don't matter to me. But damn it, have the credentials to be a head coach. What did this man do to be the head coach for the Arizona Cardinals? The answer would be nothing. There's plenty of coordinators. There's plenty of pro personnel directors. There's plenty of scouts. There's plenty of coaches, period, on the NFL and even on the collegiate level that were more deserving of a head coaching job on the NFL level than Kingsbury. I mean, since Kingsbury got the job, Cliff Kingsbury, how come Kevin Sumlin didn't get the job? The hell with it. Why don't you bring Herm Edwards back? What about David Shaw at Stanford? I mean, the list goes on and on. You want to go that route, why didn't you woo back Jim Harbaugh? Something. Why did you sit up there and say to Urban Meyer, look, you ain't got to worry about no college football scandals on the pro level. We pay here. Leave Ohio State, come take a head coaching job. I didn't have no problem with that. Urban Meyer's one of the greatest coaches in collegiate football history. By the way, the weather's a little bit nice in Arizona. We'll draft for you. You just got to coach football. You ain't got to worry about recruiting. You ain't got to worry about going in parents' homes, promising them you'll take care of their kid, being a father to 65-plus kids. You ain't got to worry about all of that. Just coach the damn football team. You could have done that. But they hired Cliff Kingsbury. And oh, by the way, you would think he recruited Baker Mayfield and got him to come to Texas Tech. You would think he recruited Kyler Murray and got him to come to Texas Tech. No, he had relationships. He talked to these people. They didn't come play for him. So what's the problem? I really don't understand this. I really, really don't. But he believes in Kyler Murray, and I like that.
Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Stephen A. Smith Show appear via the Shell Pins.
To Pennzoil Synthetics today. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. You are listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. I could come to you right now, take some calls and what have you, but you see, I'm a thoughtful man. I'm very sincere, very considerate. Actually, I'm quite wonderful, far more wonderful than most of you would ever think to give me credit for. Stephen A. Smith is a very nice man. Because, see, to put you on the line right now and not give you an opportunity to fully express and communicate your venom is not fair. It's not fair. So I want to make sure you understand that I'm going to delay that until hour number 2 because I want you to take an opportunity to just inhale and get to your points. I don't need pleasantries. I don't need Stephen A. Man. Get right to your point. Say what you feel, mean what you say. Say it with your chest. Be ready for that when we come back. Hour number 2 up next. Don't go away. The Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. I have no doubt that Giant fans are anxiously chomping at the bit to get on this microphone, along with you Raider fans and some others as well. So stick around. Hour number 2, we'll start off with your phone calls. And
I'm looking at that.
Stephen A. Smith Show starts right now.
every weekday. Number to call up as always is 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Quote, buy and save on home insurance with Progressive's new home quote explorer. Only at Progressive.com. Also, tune in for baseball action this Sunday, this Sunday. That would be Sunday. As the Astros host the Indians, presented by Indeed. Coverage of Sunday Night Baseball begins at 6 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app, and at 7 p.m. on ESPN. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. I'll get to your calls in just a few moments. There's a couple of things that I wanted to touch on. Primarily, Tyreek Hill. Ladies and gentlemen, Tyreek Hill is a superstar wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs. His one reception for 42 yards notwithstanding in the AFC Championship game against the New England Patriots. The bottom line is the brother is a stud. He is a spectacular football player. Quickness, speed, catching ability, route running, the whole nine. He's something special. But he's got himself in some trouble. And as a result, he's been banned from Kansas City Chiefs facilities indefinitely. He will not be participating in team activities indefinitely because he has found himself in a quite precarious situation. The DA involving his case with his fiancée and his 3-year-old child, the DA said that they would not prosecute a week ago, but informed the public that they thought definitely a crime had been committed, but they couldn't pinpoint specifically who to charge, etc. March 14th, police were called to Tyreek Hill's home to investigate alleged battery against the juvenile, which we later learned was his 3-year-old child. Hill was not listed in the police report. His fiancée was listed as, quote, others involved, end quote. And then on April 24th, last week, district attorney says no criminal charges would be filed against Hill. That was the end of that. Then we heard a tape recording that came out. And John, my producer, I need to know who to give credit to for that tape recording. KCTV in Kansas City, Missouri. They played a tape of Tyreek Hill talking to his fiancée and the mother of the child, I believe. And she is heard on tape interrogating him as to why a 3-year-old child would sit up there and say his daddy did whatever it was that occurred. Listen to the exchange between the two, clearly caught on tape and now played on local television airwaves, KCTV. Tyreek Hill and his fiance talking about the incident in question. Listen to this.
Why does say daddy did it? Why? Why does say daddy did it?
I don't know. He says daddy does a lot of things.
Like what? A 3-year-old's not gonna lie about what happened to his arm. He is terrified of you. And you say that he respects you, but it's not respect. It's terrified. He is terrified of you.
You need to be terrified of me too. No.
Literally kept saying, daddy punches me, which you do when he starts crying. What do? You make him open up his arms and you punch him in the chest. And then if he gets in trouble, you get the belt out.
Let me first say, ladies and gentlemen, this is an incredibly uncomfortable conversation. For me, for all of us. Because there is no one more innocent than a child. There is no one more helpless than a child. And anybody possessed with the willingness to do harm to a child is usually and should always be considered to be one of the most reprehensible human beings that we can find. Now, we can get into, as some people have said, oh, she set him up. She was taping him. Clearly, she was setting the stage for this. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you, it's irrelevant if he's guilty. And I didn't hear his denials. I heard him tell her she should be afraid of him too. I heard that. I heard him call her the B word. I heard that. But she's saying, we know you have him spread his arms and punch him in the chest. He's 3 years old. He's 3 years old. Then you also learned, because when First Take came on the air this morning, I didn't even know the kid's arm was broke. They said the kid's arm was broke. Ladies and gentlemen, that's justification for him not to be played. That's justification for him to be banned from Kansas City Chiefs facilities. A matter of fact, I could make the argument that that's justification not to put him on the commissioner's exempt list, because if you go on the commissioner's exempt list, you get paid for not playing. And why should you be paid if you're doing something like that? Now, because he hasn't been prosecuted in the court of law, the case has been dropped, and there are no legal ramifications that would justify stripping him of his salary. Chances are he's going to get his money. But I'm here to tell you something right now. This is just bad. And the reason why I say this conversation is uncomfortable for me is because, ladies and gentlemen, we all know what time it is in our society. The black man has been stigmatized as being individuals who are not active participants in the lives of their children. In other words, deadbeat dads, absentee fathers. And I'm here to tell you something right now. You're going to have to show me some numbers to justify that, because practically every black man I know who is a father loves and cares for his child or children and is committed to their protection, attempting to provide for them, and ensuring their well-being. Most black men I know would die for their children. So this notion that we got a problem as it pertains to black fathers is a notion I've always questioned. Plain and simple. Now, you can't get a job, you can't get a job. But people act like you got a job and you're living well and you just don't want to be a dad. I don't know black men like that. I'm not saying they don't exist, because there's a few bad apples in every ethnic group. I'm here to tell you. But by and large, for the most part, the black men I know are proud men who love their children and are committed to their child's upbringing to the best of their ability. So when you see a Tyreek Hill being associated with something this egregious, it's reprehensible. Reprehensible towards him as an individual, but also sullies the images or the image of black fathers everywhere outside of the black community, because it gives credence and buffers the notion of those who want to believe that kind of stuff to begin with. And that's the kind of stuff that ticks me off. Having said that, that's not everybody else's problem. And at the end of the day, this comes down to Tyreek Hill, who is a bad brother on the football field. He is something special. But I got to tell you, if there's any truth to what has been reported, I got to tell you something right now. I'm not going to tell you he should be banned forever like my man Dan Orlovsky on Get Up this morning. He'd never play in the NFL again. Dan clearly isn't a dude about second chances. That's his prerogative. I am, but I will tell you this. He should be banned indefinitely. And at the very least, the entire 2019 NFL season. If any of this, if it is true that he broke his child's arm, if it is true that he told him to open his arms so he could punch him in the chest, and he could do that to a 3-year-old, he should be banned from the NFL at the very least for the 2019 NFL season. And even then, it should be revisited with the commissioner's office and beyond before he's allowed back in. Again, I'm not calling for permanent banishment, but I am calling for banishment for the season, at least, with a discussion as to whether or not we'll consider letting you back in. There should be no definitive time limit on his banishment. Who could do that to a 3-year-old child? What kind of a human being are you, if this is true? Because again, we have the tape recorded. We don't hear denials from him. We don't know. The DA said definitively he could not discover concrete evidence in order to indict Tyreek Hill. So this might go nowhere as it pertains to that. But I'm here to tell y'all something about these multi-billion-dollar conglomerates known as the National Football League, the NBA and stuff like that. Man, they got everybody working for them. They got local police officers working for them. They got DEA agents. They got ATF agents. They got FBI agents. You got just too many. You got just too much means not to be able to get to the bottom of this. And I want you, remember, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to somebody. I'm very, very big about not being in other people's bedrooms. I'm very, very big on that. Because one person's misery is another person's ecstasy. We don't know what the hell goes on. But I think it's safe to say that doesn't apply here. It's a 3-year-old child getting hit in the chest by a grown man who happens to be a professional football player. And oh, by the way, a broken arm is a part of the mix too. So this is child abuse we're talking about here. There is no excuse for this. There's no excuse for this. It's inexcusable. And if Tyreek Hill is found to be guilty of this in any way, he should be banned from the league for at least the entire 2019 season. There should be an indefinite ban. Now again, I'm not going Dan Orlovsky. I'm not saying I'll never let him play in the league again. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is it would be banishment for the year, but it would be an indefinite banishment because I might decide it needs to be more than that. And that would be my option if I was the commissioner of the league. This kind of stuff has got to stop. We can't excuse it. I can give you a whole bunch of reasons and rationale that other people would use, but it's an insult to intelligence and it's an insult to decency. I don't give a damn who you are. I don't give a damn what group, what ethnicity you're from. I don't care. 3 years old is 3 years old. I mean, you can literally dig into the dregs of our society. You can find a no-good racist person, and even they would have compassion towards a 3-year-old. 3 years old? This is inexcusable. Inexcusable. You do something like that, you got to pay. It's that simple. On the football front, Kansas City Chiefs, I mean, what the hell's going on? What's in the water? You on the verge of winning a Super Bowl, and Kareem Hunt gets caught on video kicking some woman, ultimately gets himself kicked off the team, banned, put on a commissioner's list. He cost Kansas City a Super Bowl title. Because I believe Kansas City would have beat the New England Patriots in that AFC Championship game if Kareem Hunt was playing. And so now that Kareem Hunt is a Cleveland Brown, albeit after he serves an 8-game suspension for that incident, now we got his teammate Tyreek Hill. He's got himself in this mess. So you have Patrick Mahomes, the reigning league MVP, with Travis Kelce, the best tight end in football, with Tyreek Hill and Kareem Hunt. And now it's down to Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. Because of nonsense off the field where two brothers can't control themselves and keep their hands to themselves. And in Tyreek Hill's case, you punching a 3-year-old child in the chest? You breaking the arm of a 3-year-old child? Your own? Any 3-year-old period, but your own. For Tyreek Hill's sake, I pray that he's innocent of this. Doesn't seem that way, though. If he's guilty of this, man, like I said, indefinite suspension. I'm all about being in the land of second chances. But I got to admit to y'all, some of this stuff that's going on, I mean, they might start calling me Stephen A. Orlovsky. I might get to that point where I might want people banned for life. I mean, I'm just tired of this stuff. You work all your life to elevate yourself out of the circumstances you were brought into this world in. You pound the pavement, you grind. You ultimately nurture and cultivate a skill set that makes you nothing short of elite. As a result, you get paid millions of dollars to play a game you love. And you throw it all away potentially because of stuff like this. And then we wonder why folks have negative connotations and names for some of these folks who engage in such behavior. Because you don't seem to have the ability to control yourself. I love Tyreek Hill, the player. I love Kareem Hunt, the player. They're two studs. As talents, they could be on my team any day of the week. But what Kareem Hunt was caught doing and what Tyreek Hill is alleged to have done, Kareem Hunt lucky he's going to be playing for the Cleveland Browns. And Tyreek Hill will be lucky if he ever plays in the NFL again. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Let's get to the phones. Let's go to Johnny. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me. What's up?
Hey, how you doing, Stephen A?
I'm all right. Go ahead,
I just want to say something. When it comes down to the New York Giants, don't you think it's like the good old boys club?
What do you mean?
It's like this to me. Oh, I'm so sorry. It's like this to me, Stephen A. And when me and my wife were watching the NFL draft, when they did not draft Haxton, I told my wife, when they were doing the interview, I said, Eli Manning, clan. That's why they took that young man.
Well, I definitely think that you have a point here because I think that, listen, they proved it because they consulted with Eli Manning. That's number one. Number two, Eli Manning, if you are 38 years old, your skills have clearly regressed. You've missed the playoffs 6 times in the last 7 years. Everybody knows you're a shell of yourself and what you used to be. But you are still aching to play. You want to collect that $20 million. Even though you've collected over $250 million in your career, you want $20 million more. That don't hurt you. You want to continue to play after the season for a couple of more years. You damn sure ain't going to welcome Dwayne Haskins to the mix because he might bounce you out of there next season. You're going to want a Daniel Jones. Why? Because he's willing to wait. Why? Because he ain't that damn good. Why? Because he's friends of the family. I mean, for all we know, they might have had Thanksgiving dinner together for all we know. I mean, is Duke really playing in November? I mean, how many days does Duke have after Thanksgiving? You know what I'm saying? I don't recall Duke being nowhere. Duke. Basketball, sure. I'm more interested in the basketball team and the tournament they playing on during the holidays than I am in Duke football. What the hell have they done? All right? You got this coach Cutcliffe. He's got a good relationship with the Mannings. And obviously Daniel Jones is somebody he's trained, and that's his quarterback for him. And Daniel Jones is seen working out with Eli. And you even have analysts talk about how they look alike. Oh, really? Well, here's the problem. When's the last time Eli Manning looked good? Huh? You know what? I got news for you. I don't think I'm a bad-looking brother. But guess what? If you tell me I look like George Jefferson, I'm not going to smile like that makes me the second coming of Denzel. That's George Jefferson. I understand the difference. I understand that I might not be that dude. But I'll be damned if I look like Sherman Hemsley. That ain't that bad. Not to say that he looked bad. I'm just talking about I'm not that old yet. I mean, come on, my hairline ain't that bad. So you looking like Eli Manning. Eli Manning is supposed to be, oh, you look like Eli Manning. What the hell does that mean? Doesn't mean anything. Because he hasn't looked that good. Johnny, I got to go. I appreciate your call, man. Joe, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Yes, Joe Felder, known as AK from Jersey City. I want to go quick because I know you don't got a lot of time. First of all, I'm going to say something about the Tyreek Hill situation, if I may. If he's guilty, I want to say it's a privilege to make it to any of the leagues, NFL, but we talking the NBA, we talking about NFL. If Tyreek is guilty, I'm pissed, I'm disappointed, and forget what the NFL going to do to him. He needs to go to jail and no PC. I'm embarrassed of that if he's guilty.
Of a 3-year trial, absolutely. Go ahead.
My better point that I called for. I'm more embarrassed now, just as equal as embarrassed with the Giants. I want to say, Gettleman, he says these things as a general manager. They make their money off of what the players do. They make their money off the fans who come to watch the game. Gettleman lies. He says, oh, we didn't pay Odell to trade him. Then he turned around and trade him. Leaves $16 million on the table to pay while he's not there. He turns around in the draft and says, oh, we're not drafting for needs. We look for the best talent that's available at the time. And he turned around and he goes and gets Daniel Jones, who is 8-5. 8-5 his last season, while Haskins is 13-1. Haskins has, in one season, the yards that Daniel Jones has in 2 years. And then he has more touchdowns in 1 year than Daniel Jones has his whole 3.5 years.
Yep.
So if you said to yourself, I don't want Haskins because that's going to be too much for Eli right now, you protecting Eli. Number one, Daniel Jones could have been picked later on in the draft because he'd have still been around. That's a guarantee. So if it was anybody except Haskins, and which is, I'm going to make my point.
Man, I thought you already made your point. You've been speaking for about 4 minutes. I thought you already made your point. Go ahead.
No, but I watch this, Stephen A., because I love what you say. I feel you.
Go ahead.
He could have got anybody else. If you didn't want a black quarterback, which I'm not going to say that that's what it is, but I'm going to just say it's looking pretty funny like that. But you didn't have to get Haskins either. You could have got Will Greer, Drew Lock. You could have got a bunch of other people before this guy, Daniel Jones. But maybe Eli family is mafia or something. I don't know. But it's an embarrassment.
I got you, man.
For the Giants to do this.
It's an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment. I got your point. I appreciate your call, bro. Thank you so much. Let's go to Maurice. You're live with Stephen A. Go ahead.
Stephen A. Yeah, I just wanted to say about this Giants situation. I feel bad for Giants fans. It's embarrassing. Just like last caller said. Gettleman said there's no more a bad culture. No, the culture is still there. It's called privilege. Culture is there. It's still bad. You got situations of the good old boy network, just like you said, same situation. You're overtaken. And I called about a month ago, and I told you that Gettleman would not take Haskins. And I also told you a month ago that he would get that kid from Duke. Because
I don't recall that,
but
I'll take your word for it. Why did you say Gettleman was going to do that? What was the reason for your thinking?
From the optics from the last administration when he was with Richardson, the Carolina Panthers.
Okay.
His situation of that is that he suppresses. He does not want no one to speak to him. He don't want no rough riders on his organization. He wants people to be passive. Look at all the people he got rid of. Got rid of Beckham. When everybody's so bad about him, got rid of the safety that went to Washington. So it's just a pattern. If you're a rough rider, he's not having you. He wants you to stand in line, and basically people like Barkley is a good player, but Barkley's not that type of person. He's not a rough rider who's going to speak out.
He's definitely a different kind of person. I got to go, Maurice, so I appreciate the call. Thank you so much. But Barkley is definitely a different kind of cat, but I heard Shermer saying that more so than Gettleman. So we'll see. I mean, the bottom line is this. Haskins it far exceeds anything you could tell me about Daniel Jones, period. So that's really the negative in that regard. But we'll talk about that more as the show continues. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Back with your calls in more in a minute. You're listening live to Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. By the way, gentlemen, stop 45 last night. When you got shooters like Klay Thompson and Steph Curry, you're going to be all right offensively. I don't give a damn what the situation is. Defensively, however, if you're going to periodically struggle the way the Golden State Warriors struggled last night, ladies and gentlemen, the Houston Rockets might be going to the finals. I'm still not ready to bet my money on that. I don't believe it. I'm certainly not ready to make that a foregone conclusion. But I will tell you, the Golden State Warriors' defensive performance last night has given me cause to pause, and as a result, I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that they're going to the finals. Houston's probably salivating at the mouth to get their hands on them, and all of a sudden, everybody's in play. Because you look at the way Denver's played against San Antonio the last 3 games. When you look at the way Portland looked in the series against Oklahoma City, you got either of those teams that could give Houston a run for its money. So now if the Golden State Warriors are in jeopardy and somehow, some way, Houston's able to knock them off, we might not know who the hell's going to the NBA Finals coming out of the West, which means we might not know who the champion's going to be, which means before we know, for all we know, Toronto or Milwaukee could end up being the NBA champions if we're not careful. Now, I want to be very, very clear about who I'm rooting for or who I'm rooting against. I am rooting against the Toronto Raptors. Beautiful city. Fantastic city. Phenomenal. Here's the problem, ladies and gentlemen. My self-interest matters. I don't have global entry. I've been trying to get global entry for months, and I can't get global entry. For some odd reason, their computers ain't up and people ain't being eligible for global entry. I have been trying to get global entry for 4 months. 4.5 months to be exact and counting, and I still don't have global entry, which means that those lines are going to be exorbitantly long, and I want no parts of that while I'm traveling for the NBA Finals. That's right, I'm putting my personal interest first. I don't feel like standing in line for customs, all of that stuff. I don't feel like dealing with that. I ain't got to do that if I fly to Milwaukee. I ain't got to do that if I go to Philadelphia. I don't have to do that if I go to Boston. But I will have to do that if I go to Toronto. So nobody's rooting against Toronto more than me. But that is the reason why I don't have global entry.
The Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Stephen A. Smith Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. And you can always get in touch with the show through the 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed.
Welcome back to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News, coming at you live from Nashville, Tennessee, site of the NFL Draft 2019. This Mother's Day, show Mom just how much you appreciate her love and support with 1-800-Flowers.com. Right now, you can get 36 sorbet roses for just $36. To order, just go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN. Back to the phones we go, 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Let's go to Kay in Brooklyn. You're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hey, what's up, Stephen A? I just got a quick question, quick statement about the Tyreek Hill situation.
Okay.
I really hope that this allegation is not true, because I have an 18-month-old daughter. I'm 6'3", 330. Mm-hmm. And every time I try to redirect my daughter when she's doing something she's not supposed to, I just turn to mush. You understand?
Yeah.
So then I have my wife.
Don't they make you soft? Don't they make you soft? I mean, my goodness. I think this is a son as opposed to a daughter. It doesn't really matter because you don't hit anybody. But then again, I ain't gonna lie to you. It does matter. You don't hit anybody. Anybody with a 3-year-old. But I'm talking about punching them in the chest. But what I'm saying to you is, as a daddy, I do have an excessively soft spot for my baby girls. There's no question. There's no question.
However, my wife calls me the biggest softie in the world because we have a different philosophy on parenting. She's more the disciplinary.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
And she suggested, never did it. Like, oh, we need to pop her. You know, a little pop on the hands. But you can't do that to an 18-year-old 18-month-old because of the positive reinforcement issue, not knowing what they're doing. And I hope this is not just the philosophy issues with raising a kid between Tyreek Hill and his fiance.
No, I believe it or not. I'll tell you what I think. I think as wrong as it was, Adrian Peterson could have made the argument because it was clearly corporal punishment he engaged in. Again, you don't want to see something like that happen. It was excessive. It was wrong. Neither is defensible. But what I'm saying is, Adrian Peterson actually made that argument and was very serious about that argument. And there were people lined up agreeing with him because of what they had been subjected to as children and because of what they had experienced from their parents and what they knew what their parents believed. I don't think you can find any parent alive that would tell you it's okay to punch a 3-year-old in the chest or break their arm.
Hey, I do agree with you. And I just got one last point about this, another statement. When I was 3, I was told my sister broke my arm, right? She was trying to pull me into the room to put my pajamas on. I ran the other way and threw myself to the floor. My shoulder popped out. Go to the hospital. The doctor asked me what happened. I said, my sister broke my arm. So, 3-year-olds could take things out of context.
Wait a minute. You could say, okay, that's fair. 3-year-olds could take things out of context. Is there taking something out of context or punching in the chest at all?
No. I'm not there. Like you said earlier, okay. You're not in there. I'm not in the mix. I don't know what they're doing, and I don't condone none of that. I'm just saying there's I'm just throwing that out there.
I understand. I appreciate the call, man. Thank you so much. Let's go to Trey. You're live with Stephen A. What's up? Trey, are you there?
Hello?
Trey?
Yes, sir.
Trey, you got about 3 more seconds to start talking, or you're going to hear a dial tone, brother. Go ahead.
All right.
Bye, Trey. I gave him 3 seconds, and then he'll say, all right, and then get silent. What the hell am I doing here? It's a it's not a national radio and television show. What's the matter with you? Let's go to Todd. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Todd?
Hey, Stephen A. How are you?
Talk to me. What's going on?
All right. I want to say something about Tyreek Hill thing first. I think these NFL players, NBA players, professional athletes, all together are taking their position for granted. I struggle paycheck to paycheck. I'm a disabled veteran, and I don't do that kind of stuff. I think they used to think
Time out. Start over. Did you say all?
No,
Did you say all?
I should have said all. I should not have said all.
Okay, thank you very much. The actions of a few. There are over 1,600 players in the NFL. We hear about 4 or 5 incidents, and we say, what's the matter with these players? You understand? You think if a couple of analysts in sports got in trouble with their wives or their kids, I'm going to say there's something wrong with us? No, hell no, it's something wrong with you. Ain't got nothing to do with me. I didn't do it.
I get you. I should have said all. That's my bad.
Thank you. Go ahead. Now start over.
Anyway, I feel like some of them are position for granted. Like they feel like because they make millions of dollars, they're above the law at some point.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I get right there. Moving on from that, I want to say something about the Eagles draft pick.
Go ahead.
As a diehard Eagles fan, everybody's whining and crying about. Most people are whining and crying about Carson Wentz being injury prone. So Howie Roseman goes out and gets us arguably the best pass blocker in the draft. And now people are whining that we got the best pass blocker in the draft.
You talk about Andre Dillard?
As an Eagles fan, I want to say, just calm down, let Howie do his thing.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's a reasonable request because Howie Roseman has shown that he knows what he's doing and he deserves the benefit of the doubt. And more importantly, he's going about the business of trying to protect Carson Wentz. With Nick Foles gone, you certainly should prioritize doing that. So I have no problem with it, and I appreciate your suggestion. I don't think it's bad at all. Thank you so much. Let's go to Gary. You're live at Stephen A. What's up, Gary?
Yes. Was going to ask you what you think if the Rockets have any advantage now because they've had a lot of extra reps going forward.
Well, I think they have a slight advantage now based upon what they had prior to Wednesday night because I saw lapses on the defensive side of the ball by the Golden State Warriors, and I'm very, very concerned about that. But are you ready for this, for me to answer the question for you this way, Gary? Are you buckled up? Are you sitting down? Are you bracing yourself for what I'm about to tell you?
I'm on my way to the game tonight.
Here's the deal. And I'm jealous of you because I wish I was in L.A. That's not a bad place to be. Here's the point. When I think about the Golden State Warriors, I have been fine. They had struggles through the year. May a bag of shells. No big deal. Not concerned. They sit up there. They lose a 31-point lead in Game 2, first round against the Clippers. Don't worry about it. It's just a wake-up call. But after the loss that they suffered the other night, when I saw the way Montrezl Harrell abused them in the interior, when I saw the way Lou Williams was unstoppable in pick-and-roll situations and all of that, and I'm imagining James Harden and CP3 or James Harden and Clint Capella, I got a little bit concerned. Are you ready for where I'm going to go here, Gary? If the Golden State Warriors cannot beat the Clippers tonight, and they are forced into a Game 7 at the Oracle Sunday night, I am probably going to be ready to pick the Houston Rockets to upset the two-time reigning defending NBA champions in the next round. If this series with the Clippers doesn't end the night, I might be on the verge of losing all faith in the Warriors.
Agreed.
That's where I'm at with it. Have a nice day, man. Gotta run. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. We'll get back to your calls to close out the show in a minute. By the way, if you missed any of today's show, go check it out on demand at the Stephen A. Smith Podcast, brought to you by the Capital One Saver Card. Earn 4% cash back on dining and entertainment, 2% at grocery stores, and 1% on all other purchases. Hey, what's in your wallet?
Your radio, your computer, your phone.
The question I wanted to ask was, if Cam Newton can get healthy and he can elevate his game performance, what do the Carolina Panthers need to do to get back to the Super Bowl and actually win it this year?
Well, I think that he has to improve with his accuracy as a passer, which he did last season, and they've got to have the requisite weapons. I think their defense is going to be fine. They just drafted this kid Burns out of Florida State. He's an edge rusher. They grabbed him at 16th, I believe, if I remember correctly. I don't think that's a bad pick. But they're going to have to be effective offensively and potent with their passing attack in order to really make some things run. You got Christian McCaffrey. You could also make the argument they need a power runner, too, as well. Because Christian McCaffrey is a dual threat. He can catch passes out of the backfield. He can run effectively, but he's not an every down back that's going to be capable of taking that kind of punishment that you're going to need him to take. And that's really, really problematic. And so I look at it from that perspective and I say, excuse me, I don't know what's going to happen, and then we'll have to wait and see. Appreciate the call. 888-SAY-ESPN. Let's go to Brent real quick. You're live with Stephen A. Go ahead.
Hey, yo, what's up, man?
What's up, man?
Okay, so here's my thing. I am a Redskins fan. We got Haskins, okay?
Yep.
Now, I don't know how it happened, but to defend the Giants, we would have taken Jones down there from Duke because he was probably the second best quarterback. I mean, Haskins clearly is the first. The guy they picked first, decent guy, gonna do a good job. But they wanted that guy. They wanted him. Everybody talks about the good old boy system. The NFL is a good old boy system. Why didn't the Redskins have to pay to get there? To move up to get him.
Well, I don't know.
Really
they didn't have to pay because a lot of people had questions about Haskins, but I think he's going to make them regret it. I appreciate the call, man. Thank you, David. You're live with Stephen A. Real quick, David. Go ahead.
Stephen A., real quick, brother. I love what you do. And about Tyreek Hill, I just need you to check this out real quick. The brother has an issue. Child abuse is an issue. It should be investigated, as you said. Child Protective Services should do that. And then whatever the outcome is, Stephen A., is, from some of the media, maybe not all, it should be viewed as the brother has a problem. The brother needs treatment. The brother should maybe step out, like you said, for a year or be out for a year. But treatment should be sought.
Yeah. But wait, here's my problem. Yes, he should receive treatment. Yes, if he's guilty of such a thing, he needs help. But I don't want to hear that today, bro. Because you sound like you have more of a sympathetic ear towards him than the child. And I'm not saying that's how you feel. I'm saying that's how it comes across. The first thing we should be feeling is rage towards a human being, a grown-ass man that would put his hands, like literally punch the chest or break the arm of a 3-year-old, if that is true, if that is the case. That's the first thing we should have a problem with. It shouldn't be, oh, he needs treatment. Hell with him if he's guilty of that, at least initially. Now, when we calm down and the anger subsides and we make sure that the welfare of the child has been secured, then you could come to me with that. But I don't want to hear that before I hear about the well-being of the child, because the child is the victim here, not Tyreek Hill, assuming he's guilty of what they allege he's guilty of. I got to get on out of here. I hope y'all enjoyed the show. I'll holler at you Monday. Until then, peace and love, everybody. Enjoy your weekend.
Hey, what's up? It's Will Kane. Coming up right after Stephen A. Smith. Join us.